Many people believe Jeff Bezos to be the richest person to ever walk the globe. It can be difficult to assess the wealth of someone who was born in the 1400s or who owned a kingdom, but there have been many billionaires and even trillionaires who came before him, and through combining the insights of numerous experts, a fairly precise list can be created. Today, we'll explore the 10 most wealthiest people through history in this two-part video. Welcome to Luxury Fountain. Don't forget to hit that like button, turn on that notification bell, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. Without further ado, let's begin. Enjoy! Number 10. William the Conqueror, $230 billion. William the Conqueror, who became the first Norman king of England, was born around 1028. At its peak, his estimated net worth was about $230 billion. The answer to the question of how he acquired such fortune is obvious given his name. William made his riches by plundering essentially everyone, as one did in England during its height. In his conquest of England in 1066, which cost them almost 100,000 lives, he was victorious. He made plenty of changes after being anointed king that changed England. Because he couldn't speak English well, he outlawed slavery and forced everyone in England to learn Frenglish. He built more than 500 castles around England and Wales during his prosperous reign, making him one of England's most powerful landowners ever. He had a reputation for eating well and dressing nicely, so when he died in 1087, Lucas promptly took him of his clothing and jewelry, leaving him bare. Number 9. Osman Ali Khan, $236 billion. Osman Ali Khan, one of the most recent billionaires on our list, was depicted as the richest man in the world on the cover of Time magazine in 1937. The final princely states monarch in Hyderabad, India, and his wealth was widely known. So how wealthy was he exactly? According to contemporary experts, his net worth was somewhere over $236 billion. Nevertheless, the Guinness Book of World Records estimated his net worth to be $750 billion. Osman Ali Khan led a life that few of us could ever imagine. He always had the Jakob diamond, which is the 5th large polished diamond in the world. But Osman Ali Khan kept the priceless diamond as a paperweight in his office, contrary to popular belief that he would mount it on a ring, necklace, or display it in a glass case. He also possessed a sizable collection of jewels, known as the Jewels of Niçans, which were passed down from ruler to ruler. This collection included 173 jewels, including 2,000 carats worth of emeralds, numerous pearl-studded necklaces, buckles, earrings, and armbands, as well as the satlada, a necklace with 465 pearls. The jewel's total estimated value is $2 billion. Only a small portion of his enormous riches, yet despite having such wealth, living in a huge palace, driving 50 Rolls-Royce cars, and employing 300 employees, Osman didn't always conduct in a way that was indicative of his financial situation. He was renowned for always donning the same hat. He was infamous for pleading with his guests to steal cigarettes and eating off of tin plates. Over the span of his reign, he was even reported to knit his own socks. He gave the area access to power, trains, and airplanes. He was also renowned for giving a large portion of his money to religious and educational institutions across India. Number 8. Nikolai Romanov, $300 billion. The Romanovs are undoubtedly the most well-known of Russia's affluent families. Sadly, one of the reasons why they were massacred was because of their wealth. The estimated wealth of Nikolai Romanov, the final Tsar of Russia, was over $300 billion. Many contemporary historians think of him as a feeble, ineffective leader, but they weren't the only ones who thought that. The quote from Nikolai that "I am not prepared to be a Tsar, I never wanted to be one," "I know nothing about business of ruling," was attributed to him. Despite his incapability and unwillingness to reign, he did enjoy his loot. He received a 200,000 ruble annual salary and had an additional 20,000 rubles to spend on clothing and other stuff. But he frequently went over the $20,000 budget, spending an extra 150,000 rubles. For comparison, top generals made 5,000 rubles per year, while manufacturing employees barely received 500. He spent 40 times as much as the typical worker makes in a year. What did he spend all that money on exactly? Basically anything you wanted. He often spent 20,000 rubles to have military outfits and garments manufactured just for him. His wife frequently accompanied him on these shopping trips. She was known to spend $40,000 on ostentatious jewelry in addition to the gatherings that Nikolai paid for. The newlyweds were serenaded by a choir of 1,200 persons, and the coronation was the most expensive in Russian history. 24 tons of silver and gold silverware were brought in for the occasion. He enjoyed throwing events for both his nation and himself. He commemorated the 300th anniversary of the dynasty by forgiving all civil obligations and ordering the production of almost 1.5 million gold, silver, and bronze medals as a way to mark the occasion. He sold mass-produced mugs, handkerchiefs, and postal stamps to commemorate the occasion. In essence, he gave everyone incredibly pricey gift bags to take home. He was renowned for eating opulent meals and taking opulent vacations. His kitchen employed 55 people and provided 3 levels of meals. Even the most basic featured a full meal breakfast, a 5-course lunch, and a full-course dinner. The meal was so high-end that nearby eateries would serve the leftovers as specialties. In order to make the experience as luxurious as possible, 50 crew workers, including painters, who had to paint scenes from the hunt, were taken on his expeditions, which were typically hunting trips. If his annual hunting budget was the same as the salaries of 100 teachers, then I don't know what would qualify as ostentatious wealth. Number 7. Andrew Carnegie, $309 billion. The Carnegies are perhaps the first affluent American families that come to mind. Steel tycoon Andrew Carnegie went from changing thread spools in a workshop to having a net worth of $309 billion. He worked as a telegraph messenger to begin his career. He rose to the position of superintendent of the Western Division of the Pennsylvania Railroad as a result of his success, diligence, and attention to detail. He learned about business and made investment decisions that resulted in a large sum of money being invested in the railroad industry as soon as he turned 24. After the Civil War, it started to flourish. After leaving the railroad industry, Carnegie founded various ironwork firms, including the Keystone Bridge Works and the Union Iron Works. He also founded the Carnegie Steel Company, which he sold to J.P. Morgan for an astonishing $13 billion. Despite his enormous riches and notoriety, he employed a relatively contemporary strategy in using it. He wrote a book called The Gospel of Wealth that addresses the social responsibilities of the wealthy. He also lived by his most well-known adage, "The man who dies rich dies shamed." He gave the equivalent of $4.8 billion to charities, giving the majority of it given after his passing. He left his family with a modest portion of his riches, in addition to leaving sizable bequests to his butler, housekeeper, nurse, and chief staff. Number 6. Jakob Fuger, $400 billion. Jakob the Rich was the real name of Jakob Fuger, and for good cause. He calculated that the person's fortune was somewhere around $400 billion. Jakob's folks made a fortune selling textiles with Italy back in the good old 1400s. When Jakob reached legal age, he began conducting silver, quicksilver, copper, and cinnabar mining operations. He had an aptitude for investment, and he frequently dispersed his fortune over many different sectors of the economy. When he became successful, he began lending money to the Vatican. His funds were used to fund the construction of numerous Vatican structures, including the Sistine Chapel. He had a reputation for occasionally buying extravagant items with his money. Yet, during a time when Italy was extremely wealthy, building homes frequently meant investing in fine art and apparel. This was quite advantageous for his wife. At one time in his life, he spent 40,000 guilders on jewels for his wife. His personal residence at the time was a 4-story modern Renaissance structure. In every room, there were fires and water fountains. He was also a generous man. He started Fuger, the world's first low-income housing program. On the land, 52 homes that sheltered families in challenging circumstances are located. Although the residents were required to pray for the Fuger family 3 times a day, the annual rent was once symbolic. Even today, residents of Fuger still only have to pay 1 guilder, or approximately 88 cents, annually for the building's upkeep. It is unknown whether they should continue to pray for the family. What do you think of our first half? Think they're already super rich? We'd love to hear your thoughts about them in the section below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Luxury Fountain. Our part 2 video will be coming up shortly.